power transmission, it'll be next to residential areas. I guess the question is, what's your definition of next to? Right? I mean, we already have, like, have you guys ever lived in Pennsylvania? Have you ever seen where 3 Mile Island is located? I'll give you a hint. Not near residential areas. It's pretty far. It's pretty far. Bernstein Bears. Well, in this case, they're doves. Or bulls, rather. Bernstein is the one that's basically anti-AMD right now and positive NVIDIA. Is it on an island? Believe it or not, yes. It's been a Bernstein nuts. You straight up asked Stacy for one, but he said no. Yep, that's his job. It's neither 3 miles long and or wide. So, by the way, I lived in Harrisburg. If you were going to the airport, you were basically driving near 3 Mile. You show the map, the overview. Fake Island, cancel it. Fuck. Fuck it. Yep. So there it is in blue. All right. And I used to see it all the time when I would fly out of the airport. Harrisburg International Airport is right here. So literally when you're flying in and out, the first thing you see is 3 Mile Island. Now imagine that. If you have to fly, if anything's going on, you're fucking dead. I lived in Harrisburg. I had a cool spot in Harrisburg. I liked where I lived. If you walked 5 blocks down one direction, you were in the ghetto. I will say that much. Yes. I used to live in Hummeltown, and then I moved to downtown Harrisburg. Yep. Yeah. And the funny thing is one of the reasons I'm most bullish on nuclear energy, aside from the fact that I understand economics, is Fukushima. It took the worst earthquake in Japan's recorded history, and they've been recording history for a very long time. The worst earthquake and worst tsunami, and literally, if they had just moved the generators from the basement up to the top floor, there would have been no problem. Like, that's amazing to me. I've been in Baltimore before, yeah. Fukushima short laddered themselves. Yeah. Hey, necessary shout. Are we assuming shit show earnings from Target tomorrow? I don't trust them. I'd rather put it this way though. I'd almost rather buy calls than puts on Target. You just had really, really good retail numbers. The problem is I do not trust Target management. No, fuck them. Target's management sucks. But how bad are expectations, right? What's the oil doing now? Crude oil back to 81. It needs to bounce in the 20 day. Well, this fucker is going back to the 70s, and all the people talking about how wait till energy gets more expensive needs to shut the fuck up for another month. I still think energy goes higher from here. So, yeah. I mean, Tim says all the technical overheating issue have been solved with the breeder reactor. Probably. I would just sit there and say, like, again, Fukushima, if they moved the generators from the basement to the top level, they would have never gotten flooded and they would have had no problems. Like, that alone is the reason why. Worst earthquake in Japan history, worst tsunami in recorded Japan history. And literally, if the generators were not in the basement, they were fine. That actually makes me feel reassured. Look at the SPY continue to be a bitch. It can't help itself. It's in its blood to be a bitch. I can compare it. The RBMK reactor, pinnacle of design, made with equal parts void coefficients and lies, right? Mm-hmm. Chem Life, I'm the same boat as you. I don't even feel it's a conspiracy. A lot of the people who are the most ardent against the natural gas and oil industry are funded by the oil and natural gas industry to keep capacity offline. Then you have other groups of funding, which are just state actors overseas who just want to see countries voluntarily fuck themselves over. And if you're from the UK, this statement's going to hurt you. How do you think Brexit was funded? Right? Because a lot of people who are like, we would do pretty well if England decided to drop its own economy from the top of a building, got you guys to do it. Yep. Lima Buffalo, who was the guy on Twitter you were talking about who said the CPI numbers were going to be the start of the next board? I have no clue who he's talking about. Yeah. I don't know. CPI numbers were going to be the start of the next bull run. Is that Dan Wedbush? Dan Ives from Wedbush? Sounds like something he'd say. Chem Life. Like anyone who is anti-nuclear power, you immediately write off as either ignorant or deeply unserious. I'll go one step further. I'll be kinder and more charitable. All right. If your viewpoint is just anti such and such, not making something better or acknowledging we have to utilize something, but just like we should never do that. Like the people who are like, we should not be using oil and gas, turn it off right now. It's like, all right, are you going to go through the phone book and say, these people I'm comfortable with dying, starving, freezing, overheating, right? Like, is that what you're willing to do? The fact that you're telling me this on an electrical form of communication says something. Like, that's the part that I find deeply unserious and just should be treated as unserious. All right? And it's not like, oh, you know, big oil just wants the ability to pollute to make money. It's like, we gave them money because we said we wanted electricity and energy. All right? Your problem is with society. Don't take a subset of society, right? Spencer says, you think people are starting to find their voice about being upset about inflation, and this election might be the match that hits the gas? You have some fairly genuine concerns about how this election goes. Spencer, respectfully speaking, when it comes to the political side, though, you're a lot more tuned into the crazies. Instead, if you want to focus on the data, Ohio is interesting. This election is going to end up being a lot more a referendum around abortion. It shouldn't be, but that's where we are. Yeah. If people are bitching about inflation right now, I mean, you got to understand inflation expectations by survey standpoint just printed their lowest number in 2 years. Now, I shit on those surveys anyway. But Whiskey chai, fucking regressives, yeah. At some point, you realize that essentially everyone moves towards centrism as they get older and wiser and more educated. That's it. Hempy Tosca, I love that statement. You mean the dog that caught the car? Yep. Yeah, degrowthers are anti-human. I would agree. Walk over load. Everyone moves towards what? Towards centrism. The idea that all these platitudes you hear, particularly from politicians on either side of the spectrum, by the way, all right, how all they're doing is trying to radicalize you so you'll vote for them and you'll be terrified, when in truth, it's a lot more about middle of the road, boring ass solutions. Twitch streams. Didn't Ohio just slap down some legislation? Yes. They were originally looking to do a constitution, to fix their constitution, to make amendments even harder to do, because Ohio started talking about giving some rights towards abortions inside their constitution. So a group funded a lot of money, an anti-abortion group, to basically put up a referendum so people could vote on it, to make their constitution harder to modify, specifically to get in front of this effort, and it failed miserably. Yeah. Yeah, Hawaii Electric down 25%, down 54% in 1 week. It's going to be an interesting opportunity. And has there been any confirmation that there is actually, like, they're the reason the fires broke out? Or is this just, we ate them? Reminder, this is a utility, not a bank. All right? You can't wipe out a utility theoretically. Well, I mean, smokers, winter is coming, clearly, yep. Spencer, homelessness is increasing at its fastest rates the last few months, and yet in absolute terms, it's still down. No homes available. There are. Maybe everything is fine, though. And everything's fine. Everything could be worse, but, like, people aren't going to freak out and vote for a fucking fascist, right? Z-dump it. Yes. You think it's still speculation? Got it. Tim says, hey, young people, my parents bought their house in 1975 for $10,000. My house in the same area today costs $1.6 million. Yep. Better get to work and stop bitching. Or tax homeowners. Yeah. Are utilities the new banks? Low growth, highly regulated, and can basically go to zero on black swan environment events. I don't think we've ever seen one go to zero, though, have we? I mean, PG&E is the classic example of the moronic one. I don't think they're the standard bearer, though, for utilities. Remember, Silicon Valley gets taken, it goes out of business. Other banks can step in. I don't know how a utility goes out of business, particularly when they're a monopoly in their area. I mean, unless the people of Hawaii have found a new way to not use electricity, right? Lowney, homeowners are already taxed. Not enough. That's my viewpoint. Not enough. Someone say money. Can the utility be owned by the local governments? Yes, and that's happened in the past, but you've seen a push towards investor owned, mainly to keep taxes down, by the way. Am I saying HE is a buy? At some point, it probably is, but I don't know how you gauge the downside. I haven't done any looking into that. Stacey Raskin talking NVIDIA on CNBC. Ooh, when he's done and it gets posted online, I'd love to post it. I'd love to look at it. Let me ask Milker. It's not homeowners. It's people with tons of rentals and courts. Correct. Yeah. Owning and keeping up a home piece of land is a tax in of itself, a lot more expensive than non-homeowners want to believe. Yeah, but meanwhile, you guys charge rent. Remember, my issue is not with people owning their own homes. My issue is with people having homes as investments. I think we need to really examine the economics behind that, because there's a certain pervasive issue. It's not, put it this way, homes as investments is not where there's a free market, because there's so many restrictions on building new capacity. Yeah, Tal Forest, you're paying 2.5 times more property taxes than the people you bought your house. Yeah, that sucks. Trust me, I'm sympathetic. I'm sympathetic to housing being more expensive, but no one's gonna like what happens. What it takes and what it looks like for housing to go down in price wise doesn't make people happy. In Toronto, renters play. Canada's fucking stupid on housing. Let's not use Canada as the example. Canada's a very, very bad example. They got their own problem. Why not tax landlords? That's what I'd like to do. That's what I'd like to do. People who own their own house, that's not my goal when I say increasing the taxing. But basically, people who are like, well, I own like 3 rental properties as investment, I feel like their return on investment's way too high. It shouldn't be that way. Chem Life, rather than more taxes, more incentives. But that's the problem. Supply is the solution. But meanwhile, we give existing homeowners essentially the vote through zoning boards and HOA associations to build more supply. That's why I target them. That's why I said it's not a free market. All right. If I walk into an area and I'm like, wow, you know, chicken wings are super expensive. There's not a lot that stops me from building a new chicken wing restaurant. All right. I have to go through zoning boards, of course, for any place that's listed commercial, but they're not going to sit there and say, uh-oh, it's a chicken restaurant and we already have 3 of them. So we have to keep the price, the value of all these chicken businesses up. So we're going to deny you. Housing literally does that. That's why I'm like, well, fuck them. See this old, then tax more capital gains. I agree with that one too. I would tax capital gains, particularly at a certain point on the inflation front. All right. People who talk about like 0 interest rate environments. All right, fine. It created capital. Now we talk about having to pull liquidity. All right, we have to pull capital. What's the most efficient way? It's capital gains taxes. Rich people don't talk about that one though. Rent should automatically give you equity in the house. Not automatically, no. I don't think that much, but yeah. Look at the spy. Spy just giving it up. Like Sagano behind the dumpster. Yeah, except NVIDIA, J&J, Eli Lilly, and Oracle. Yeah. Someone say money. What about taxing unrealized gains? I don't think that's even constitutional. I don't think that's even constitutional. Yeah, I keep hearing like particularly like the hard lefties talk about like, oh, we need wealth taxes. Let's be clear, that's stupid. Also, I don't think it works on a constitutional basis. Now, tomorrow, the only thing we get is what? Minutes. FOMC minutes. Tim says, the problem with property taxes is a homeowner has to keep maintaining the buildings at ever increasing costs without being able to deduct those repairs. All the while they increase your taxes because you maintain your property. There are no guarantees you'll ever get back your taxes or maintenance when you sell. Ooh, sounds like a problem for investors, right? They don't have to invest. It's that simple. Liquidity. Where would you get the money to pay for unrealized capital gain, unrealized tax gains? I mean, no one's talking about taxing unrealized capital gains. Like, no one's mentioned that. People mentioned it up front, but that was not what we said about increasing capital gains. By the way, the good news for all you degenerates who do day trading, you already pay income tax instead of capital gains. You shouldn't be complaining about this. Yeah, promo. Exactly. The argument's bad for the investor is silly. Of course it would be bad for investors. That's the fucking point of lowering housing prices. Correct. Yeah, what are gains? What are these gains things you're talking about? Yeah. That's a funny thing. You can listen to the people like on CNBC, all right? Like portfolio managers who have a lot of money who are like, the Fed needs to raise rates because they have a bunch of cash on the sidelines that they're collecting high interest rate on CDs and money market funds. And they want to see higher interest rates to keep pushing that pile up, plus bring down the price of assets so they can then buy at the lows. Like, fuck those people. Seriously. I respect the idea you're doing what's in your best interest. Then don't be shocked when the rest of the society says, do you know what would also be in best interest? Let's tax rich people a little bit more. Mm-hmm. Necessary shout. Am I suggesting that houses are for living and not for speculating? Correct. Mommy has milkers, you're 100% correct. The funny thing is, by the way, he says taxing the rich always works. I'm actually not a big believer in substantially higher taxes. I look at France as an example. France has low corporate taxes. They tax the shit out of people, though. I think they're somewhere in the middle of that. I'm not a big believer in huge corporate taxes. I'd rather tax capital gains as income. All right. I would. Keep tax burdens low for corporations. They have the incentive to move. People don't. Right? Did I see that flow chart? No, I haven't seen that. You can share it. Go for it. Mommy has milker. Taxes are fine. The issue is government stealing away. There's absolutely waste. Don't get me wrong. There's absolutely waste. I am not in disagreement at all. Tim says everything is a capitalistic society. Everything in a capitalistic society is for speculation, but we've put guardrails around it. Let me give you the greatest example of that. Right? I can't put out life insurance policies on people without their knowledge. Think about that. Literally, we're talking puts on people. I would. Yeah. Puts on people. During COVID, throughout my social media networks, I'd find some diehard, overweight anti-vaxxers who loved going out to bars when Delta was coming around. I would have fucking bought puts on them. Easily. Tim says companies do that. Not without the person's knowledge. Literally, they don't. I'm telling you for 100% fact, they don't. You are required to get some level of consent or approval through the insurance providers. You cannot take out insurances without people knowing. Again, I know this one for a fact. I have. I can take out an insurance policy on you, but you will know about it. Yeah. Chad, imagine being notified someone got puts on your life. That would change shit real quickly, huh? Like the anti-vaxxers lived, Jay, so I lost. It's actually not true, by the way. The number one example of the person that I was thinking of did die. I know. I'm an asshole. I don't care. To the job. Did you lose or did Theta? Yeah, Theta gang. Oh yeah, Nox event said, "You have permission to place puts on my life. Maybe it'll encourage you to stay healthier out of spite." I respect that. Hey, to original. Anyone playing Target? I'm not. I'm not. If I was, I'd go long. Yeah, the ones who lived all have podcasts now. Galloping Conch. Why are we talking Vax again? No, fuck. It's fucking stupid. But yeah, too original. The problem with Target specifically, we just had retail numbers come out this morning, which were a big beat. Like, seriously, retail numbers crushed it this morning. Here's the issue on Target. This is like at 52-week lows right now. Going into earnings, often retail numbers that were shockingly high. All right? The expectations for Target have to be dog shit. Like, how bad is it really, right? Hey, Venkat, I've already spoken about Burry's puts. Yes. If you don't mind again, are they hedges? 100% yes. Yes. Somewhere between like 3 to 5% of his portfolio's in puts, not 95%. The rest of his portfolio is long companies. Combination of healthcare, shitco, value cos. Makes sense. He does not have 90 to 95% of his portfolio in puts. He's not betting on a crash. He's hedging. That's all. Yeah, big cat market maker. Let's sell puts on Target. A few earnings go, they went from 240 down to 150. Yep. And that's the risk about Target. I don't trust their management. Target can fuck up tomorrow, and any other company would be like, you know, why didn't they pre-announce? With Target, we're like, oh yeah, they've have a history of not pre-announcing. Probably saying, I'm willing to bet they go up just because look at that fucking chart, right? But Wall Street is Wall Street bets bullish? Or sorry, are you talking about Wall Street bets' interpretation of Burry? Because we already shot on that. Yeah, HD earnings seem to indicate Target's going to beat as well. Well, HD, keep in mind, Home Depot beat essentially on the back of professional contractors. Target doesn't have that. Target may actually do weaker based on Home Depot's earnings because Home Depot said a lot of the home improvement do-it-yourself crowd kind of underperformed expectations. Promo's right. Target's at 12 and a half times next year's earnings. All right? 12 and a half times next year's earnings. Home Depot's at 20 times. Remember Burry's sell tweet? Yep. Burry as a contra indicator is a real interesting shift in the life. In tags, I'm not speaking. I'm streaming. Secondhand furniture is very hot right now. Some new apps for a love seat big in your area. Yep, sounds about right. Had to add puts at the end of the tweet. Yeah. If the SPY is going to show any heart. Ain't no way you're buying someone's used love seat. Oof. Yeah, going into their earnings, targets at a 52-week low. Really, how bad are their earnings now? Yeah, I'm hoping for a huge market on close. Like, look at this. Target's EPS for next year is supposed to be $9.60. So it'll be their second best year in history after 2022. SPY's got no heart, none. With Buffalo, there's been a weird correlation people have looked at to say that the only correlation between market on close and the next day is specifically $1 billion plus market on close to sell side. What happened to Penny? I don't know. He probably took a break from the market. Market frustrates us all at times, which is perfectly fine to take a break from it. No need to sit around and get your dick kicked in by it. Reminder, for earnings tonight, we don't really give a shit about too many of these companies. Tava's not till 7 o'clock. Coherent could be interesting. Allegiant's the interesting one tonight. Allegiant's in what? Diagnostic. It's medtech adjacent, right? Turkey Tom says yields really are the headwind right now. I would agree with that. Yeah. Market's moving in correlation with where yields are going, which is going to get really interesting. Tomorrow could be spicy. Yeah, 30-year yields went up, 10 years slightly up. 2 years went down, so we're seeing the quote bear steepening, which is the back end going up, as opposed to bull steepening, which is a short end coming down. Yeah, Cav is tonight, but not until 7 o'clock. So we're not sticking around for that shit. Yeah, what I'm interested in for tomorrow is tomorrow we get the FOMC minutes. And if there's anything to help change the perspective in terms of where the short end of the yield curve should be, maybe it's tomorrow, right? Promo, yield moves today are very mild, rather mild, but you do have the 30-year moving. Yeah, supply will do that. Lots of bonds for sale. Yep. Necessary shallot. We are assuming a hawkish pause driven by data. I'm assuming, I believe it or not, a lot more on the dovish side. I think what we're going to find out, remember, the meeting minutes is the meeting that happened last time, is a, quote, dovish hike. I think the TLT's been nuking people recently, though. There probably is a time to buy it. May not be now. B-Hood, news or just random sell-off? I haven't seen news. J-Pow threw a chair at Kashkari and called him a bitch. Yeah. I don't think it's about news being good or bad. I just think it's about mechanics. I think the market's responding to yields, to the dollar, etc. Hey, Tom, not market related, but have I seen that story of the police raiding a newspaper office in Kansas? Yeah, that seems like a really clear cut First Amendment issue. Lonnie, you bought AMC shares yesterday? That's nuts. Until it's equal to Ape, I'm assuming AMC drops. Hey, Nadisi, you're still depressed that you sold the top? That's okay. If it makes you feel better, I doubt you sold the top. Yeah, it's up 8%. Oh, AMC. It's a shit cow. George, do I have any opinion on Cadence? Yeah, really good company. Really good company. Boring. Cautionary note on that one is boring. Um, the problem with Cadence is they have such good visibility in their future that their earnings are essentially like it's validation. Whether they beat or miss, it's always by like 1 or 2 pennies per share. Revenue, it's by like 5 to 10 million. So you don't see big upsides or downsides even on earnings. The interesting thing about them is Cadence is a play on the idea of like, well, fuck Nvidia. Everyone's designing their own chips. If they're designing their own chips, they're using Cadence. So Cadence or Synopsys. Yeah, for a long-term hold, really good company, really good management. It's a software company. It's expensive, but like it's a part of a duopoly in a sector that's growing and they don't kill people. Hint, hint, Boeing, hint, hint. Spencer, you kind of get a gut feeling the governor might step in for Hawaii Electric. Yeah, it's weird. It's definitely weird. I don't think it's good for publicly traded insurance or utilities to get smacked around anytime there's a natural disaster, right? But at the same time, it's not politically popular for a governor to step in when people literally died just 2 or 3 days ago. All right, where's the real market on close number? Did I say Boeing kills people? Yes, I did. You kind of want to question Cadence CEO. Like 1 or 2 earnings ago, he tried to bring up they made the best companies to work for list. Like you don't want a CEO to mention that. It's a little lame. Focus on earnings guidance. Counterpoint: if you pay money to get on that list, you might as well bring it up, right? By the way, you do know all of the companies pay money to be on that list. To use the branding and mention it, you have to pay money. I know this firsthand. It's 100% true. You have to pay money. $3.2 billion to sell. Ooh, that's a spicy, spicy one. Amazon made #1 for LinkedIn best companies. You know why, by the way? Because they're not counting. Basically, warehouse workers, generally speaking, are Amazon employees. Is that market on close number real? D-Lo going wild. They report earnings tonight. D-Lo reports earnings tonight. Did it leak? Whoa. They had to leak. Market on close imbalance is $3.2 billion to the sell side. That market on close is only twice Burry's position size. Remember that Burry position was only notional value. He probably paid underneath $20 million for that. But people are like, he put $1.8 billion. It's not true. Something had to happen with D-Lo. They report earnings tonight. So them going nuts, I assume something leaked. Downleamer, people are dumb and can't read. The bigger issue is that there's some members of FinTwit who've posted about it, and I don't think they're that stupid. I think they know what they're doing. Like, I think they're playing it because scaring the shit out of people is a good way to build engagement and monetize your personality. Yeah, what's the news on D-Lo? Someone saying looked like D-Lo earnings leaked. Spike on takeover? What the hell? Cali Otter, that dude finance a lot scummy. I would agree. He sells a YouTube channel where he bitches about Biden and how the world's going to go to hell and all that stuff. So he's selling engagement. So of course he's focusing on like, oh, the stock market's going to crash. Look, look, look. Yeah. Mo says, philosophical question. Why do we allow people to monetize their crappy personalities? We've been doing it for decades. It's called TV actors. Maverick has a second YouTube channel. I don't know about a second. I've seen the first one. You get to hear this like old jaded New Jersey, New York accent. I think New Jersey specifically. And it's like, oof. His best take is that Bullard retiring will be when the market crash starts. I think people give members of the Fed way too much power. How's Target doing going into earnings? Thick Chief, you feel like you've been getting a lot of that on YouTube where people are selling fear, like big stock crash. Yeah. Remember, if someone is telling you that, hey, you know what? Market goes up, market goes down. Don't panic. The world's not ending. We're not getting a redo of the global financial crisis. If someone actually tells you that, then the assumed assumption is put your money in indexes and walk away and live your life happy. You don't need that person. But if they tell you the new stock crash is coming, stick around with me and I'll help guide you through it. Or like Wifey Alpha, I'll help you buy generational lows. Now you need that person. And they'll make money click by click, eyeball by eyeball. That's the problem. We do need a summer of love. Good Lord. People just need to go fucking get it out of their systems. Disconnect from social media, disconnect from Twitter. Margula, it's more entertaining than CNBC telling you to buy the dip every day. Really? That's what you're getting from CNBC? Mr. Whitley, you know a perma bull who has 100. The perma bull tells you just buy the index each day. Like if you're a true perma bull, just buy the index each day. Pokemon Go release, yep. And for a while, there was peace in the world. Look at the spy trying to not be a bitch. By the way, I did buy August 23rd, $445 calls. Small gamble. It's simple. Every time I see a big market on close sell number, I buy 7 to 8 DTE SPY calls, very close to at the money to close out the next day. We'll see if it works. Sorry, Tom. Honestly, as far as financial advice goes, buying the SPY every day, it's not the worst. It really isn't. Tim says, why would you buy and hold anything when you can swing it? Well, I mean, from a longer term perspective, right? Like, markets, generally speaking, start at the bottom left and move to the top right. And when anyone says, well, there was the entire, quote, lost decade of like the 2000s, they always have to get very specific about their starting and ending date to make that point. Because the vast majority of times, it's not true. But yeah, I'm a swinger, baby. But that's what I do. But like, there's a lot of companies where you're sitting there going like Microsoft. Like, do we all think Microsoft's going somewhere negative? No, not long term. Not long term. You bought Nvidia at 130 and swung to 200. You won. You made money. That's good. Time. Bears win comfortably. Oh, Bulls getting rinsed out. By the way, today's unique. This is the first time I can ever recall, without having technical problems or ending a stream early, that I did not get a single subscriber today. Hurts. Right here. Ooh, a lot of people voted power, too. Ouch. Bulls need to come back in 2025. Bulls will be around. Reminder that when you look at the market, all right, when you look at the market, you've got shitcos and you've got good companies. The problem is some of these shitcos, they don't even know they're shitcos. Right? They're not aware. Spencer, thank you for the 4 pennies. Caliotter, thank you for the gift sub. All right. Coherent, we played them once back Remember, Coherent is the merger between Kohu and IIVI, or 26. Anonymous, thank you for the gift subs. Greatly appreciated, my friend. See, all I have to do is ask. Yeah, we played them once for earnings, and that did not work out well. So we ignore this company. But this is a merger. They are a semi-cap and semi-supplier. So they supply foundries specifically. I'm pretty sure they have exposure to silicon carbide. But yeah, earnings tonight. Really, the one that matters to me is Agilent. I want to see what happened to D-Local. D-Low. Jesus, they're up another 11%. What's the story? Did their earnings leak? Holy shit, they crushed it. Then I assume there's some kind of issue with how they're reporting it. Wow, they crushed it. D-Local, I think, is a South American payment processor. It's a fintech. Looks like a big, yeah. So, all right, D-Lo got halted for volatility after earnings. Earnings were leaked. Earnings came out early. That's why they're up. Okay, thank you, Gaseous Clay. Coherent is not Kohu. Got it. Okay, difference. Thank you. Yeah, it was IIVI, or is it 26? And Coherent. Thank you. Thank you, Black Raven, for the sub. Yeah, it does seem like earnings leaked, though, for them. So, as you can see, they apparently did well. This stock wasn't doing much today, and in a very quick span, the stock's up 30%. 2.6, yeah. I forget. I'll look it up later on. There's Is it because silicon's the 26th element? Was that what the reason why? Take care, Necessary Shout. Always a pleasure to have you around. Just a Dree calling out new. Isn't this the one Buffett's behind? Yeah, W. Joe. HE is down another 30%. Keep eyes on that one. That one might be, it's a weird one. How do you play the dip on a potential utility company that may have caused a fire? I don't know. But they were down 40% yesterday, another 30% today. Brazil FinTech. Sounds like a good combo. By the way, yesterday after the stream, I got to do a fun activity. Where is it? Here we go. I'm going to show you. This is picture one. All right. This is picture two. That's right. It was bath time for Hershey. This was picture three when the fucker almost tried to get out of the bathtub. And this is picture four, which is hilarious. The process of drying him. So he finally got his bath. And this is him mostly dried. Yeah, Mo likes the picture. Why am I waterboarding Hershey? He does look like a seal. He really does. It's the coloration when he gets his first lick. But yeah, this one's the funniest picture. The interesting thing about Hershey, he doesn't mind a bath. He really doesn't. He's really good about that. The problem is the second you turn off the water, it's a game. It's a game. Because he, at that point, immediately says it's time to play. So he's going to run around. He's going to smash his face into like the carpet and the towels. More importantly, like my bed, my pillows. Trying to dry off everything. He shakes, obviously. So yeah. Yeah. So immediately you got to fucking catch him. It's hilarious. You're like, fucker, get back here. Looks like New may not have done that well. Let's find out, though. Yeah, Agilent's the one that should matter, guys. Agilent's the big company. Looks like down at first. Keep in mind, this is diagnostic and research. Have we had any good news from like Thermo Fisher or Charles River Laboratory? Hershey's the family dog. I have to look after him, though, because most of you know, like, when I'm not streaming, I'm a caretaker for my elderly parents right now, making sure they get everything settled. Then I can quit that job. DZ says, Agilent should miss. Agreed. Yeah. The other ones, the question is, though, how much of that was, quote, priced in? Because a lot of these stocks had taken beatings. And for Agilent, 21 times for, actually, it's a shitty dividend. They all missed and guided down, but everyone knew it was coming. Everyone knew it was coming. No one thought, especially post-COVID. Still, I wonder how they did. Looked like Agilent beat and cut fiscal year guidance. Yeah. Someone saying no future guidance. Someone saying cuts fiscal year guidance. Yeah. These are pretty expensive stocks, don't get me wrong, but they're in a really interesting kind of quote tech space. So yeah. D-Local, that's D-Lo, names former Mercado Libre CFO Pedro Arndt as co-CEO. Anytime I hear the words co-CEO, I'm inclined to not like it. Yeah, so Melly's CFO is leaving, apparently. That's the big announcement. They're not really responding after hours. Anyway, folks, thank you for tuning in. Let's see what our good friend Jay Jared's up to. And otherwise, I'll see you guys tomorrow. We get Target's earnings tomorrow morning. That should be spicy. That should be nicely spicy. Hold on, Kava's moving. Their earnings were not till 7 o'clock, I saw. Whoa! Their earnings out? Maybe the 7 o'clock was just their phone call. Yep. Anyway, thank you guys for tuning in. I will see you all tomorrow. Peace.